Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'll be going through all of the books that I read in the month of June 2020. I actually managed to read 11 books last month, which is pretty crazy for me. I think that's the most that I've read in a single month so far this year, which is pretty great. Since there's 11 of them, I did take some notes so that I remember what to say. But yeah, let's get right into it. The first book that I read last month was The Boyfriend Project. This was the book that I selected from Book of the Month in the month of May 2020. This features like a really diverse cast of characters, I would say, and it also features women in tech, women in STEM, and I really enjoyed reading that perspective of like a woman working at a tech company that's typically a very male-dominated sort of environment. I haven't read that before, and so I really appreciated that sort of experience sort of detailed in this book. Also had a really cute romance going on. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I picked up Bloom, which is a very LGBTQ friendly graphic novel. I highly recommend it for fans of baking. This made me want to bake all the loaves of bread. I don't want to say too much about it. It's really short, so saying anything basically gives it away, but it's really cute, really nice artwork. Very much enjoyed it. 3.75 out of 5. After that, I read an ebook of a collection of short stories called Hungry Hearts. This was sort of keeping with the food theme, I guess. It has a collection of, I think, 13 short stories by YA authors, really famous ones and some more obscure ones. I adored this book. It had so much good food, so many amazing writing styles, all combined into one. Usually I don't really like short stories because I like to have more of like continuity in a book if I'm going to read like 350 pages of something, but this was really enjoyable, probably because every story featured like a different character going through something different in their life. There was horror, there was contemporary, there was romance, there was everything you could possibly want. I really want to get a physical copy of this book because it was fabulous. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. After that, I picked up some YA fantasy. I read A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer. I've read her contemporary novels before and really enjoyed them, so I was looking forward to going into her fantasy series, and I'm glad I did because, oh my gosh, this was phenomenal. I have not felt so immersed in a YA series or YA world in a really long time. It was incredible. I loved it. I especially liked how the main character had a chronic illness that was featured prominently in the story throughout, like really consistently. It wasn't like they say she has a chronic illness and then suddenly she's able to like run like the wind and like do a bunch of things that normally would be limited by her chronic illness. No, in this book, it's very present and she acknowledges it and pushes through, or at some points in the story, like acknowledges that she can't do it because of, of her health, to preserve her health, I guess. So I really liked that. It was a very unique, I guess, aspect in a heroine who is very strong. Often probably because of that and because of the things that she's had to go through. So I loved this. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm so excited to reread it again, probably very soon. I believe the 3rd book in this series is also coming out at the beginning of next year. Very much looking forward to that. After that, I read the sequel to that, of course. I read Jump Straight into a Heart So Fierce and Broken. This was a very strong sequel. I liked the new perspectives that were introduced in this book. The whole series is like a multi-perspective novel. I think the first one is dual perspective, and then this one has more than 2. Usually that can get quite confusing, but I thought it was really well done in this one. It was super enjoyable and a good journey, I guess, from start to finish. There were lots of twists and turns and kind of keeps you on your toes, I give this one a 4.75 out of 5 stars. After that, I read an ebook called The Happy Ever After Playlist, which is a companion novel to a book I read at the end of last year, which is The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. This book was equally amazing. It has elements of music, of food, of love, loss, and healing, which I thought was really powerful for a contemporary novel, which sometimes can be quite fluffy, but I think this author's books are very hard-hitting, very emotional. It's just, there's lots of layers. It's like an onion. I don't want to give a synopsis because it kind of gives away some of the more shocking elements of the Friend Zone. So read The Friend Zone first and then read this. You will not regret it. I give that a 5 out of 5 stars. After that, I listened to the audiobook actually of Daisy Jones and the Six. This was a super interesting read. It made me feel like the whole band was real. I listened to it on audiobook, and I think that's the way to go, because it's sort of has a cast of characters of like multiple people, everyone voicing different parts. It makes it seem really real. It's a wild journey, wild ride. I don't even know what happens, but it's really intense. And it was good. I'm glad I listened to it. I gave that a 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I read Dear Girls on audiobook, which I thought was also very funny. I came to know the author because I watched her movie Always Be My Maybe, which is on Netflix. It's super cute. You should watch it. So I thought I'd pick up her, I guess, written work. These are like a collection of letters to her daughters who are currently very young. I thought it was enjoyable to listen to. Some of the stuff I agreed with, some of it I didn't, but it was interesting to hear sort of her perspective on how to live life. So it was worthwhile. I gave that a 4 out of 5 as well. Then I went into reading the books by Rachel Hollis. I listened to them on audiobook. The first one is called Girl Wash Your Face. This really wasn't for me. There were a lot of religious components sprinkled in throughout, which really, it made it really hard for me to connect to the words. Not because I like don't believe in religion, but just because it just felt really random. Like it didn't feel natural connections, I guess. And I just felt like the author was lauding her accomplishments for the entire book, basically, which I didn't really learn anything from that, you know? So I gave that a 2.5 out of 5. I then read her other book, Girl, Stop Apologizing, on ebook. And you might wonder, if I didn't like the first book, why did I pick up the second book? Because I like to complete things, and there were 2 books out there. I wanted to give both of them a chance. The second one I thought was better than the first, but still nothing to write home about, nothing like breakthrough like thought that I had not thought before. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. After that, I read When Breath Becomes Air on ebook. This was my last book that I read in the month of June. It's a memoir of a neurosurgeon who develops terminal cancer at the beginning of his career, and it's sort of his musings on how to live a meaningful life and what you should do with the time that you have, and like what is living, basically. It was incredibly beautiful, heart-wrenching. I cried a lot while reading it. It's officially one of the best books that I've ever read. I really need a physical copy because I read it on my Kindle. I finished it over a week ago and it's still with me. So I think everyone should read this book, When Breath Becomes Air. It is truly, truly incredible. And that is everything that I read in the month of June. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, let me know. I would love to know what you read last month and what your favorite book was. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.